The rain hammered against the windshield like 1,000 fingers of fate as Harper James coasted her sputtering sedan down the lonely back road outside of Billings, Montana. The engine coughed, lurched once, and died completely, leaving her stranded on a stretch of highway framed by towering pines and a sky bruised with storm clouds. She'd been on her way to a job interview that felt like her last chance, a receptionist position at a logistics company, the kind of job she once would have brushed past. But losing her apartment, her savings, and nearly her sense of self had changed her definition of pride. Now pride was simply getting up again. With steam curling from the hood, she sat there shivering. Broken engine, broken plans, broken spirit, wondering if life was punishing her or preparing her. She didn't know that fate was about to show up in the form of a beaten-up pickup truck and a man who had learned to survive storms of his own. If you believe in kindness, hope, and second chances, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. It helps bring more stories like this to the world. When the headlights bloomed in her rearview mirror, Harper felt her pulse spike. A truck rolled to a stop behind her, and a tall man with rain-wet hair stepped into view. In his 40s, maybe, with a face worn but steady, the kind carved by both grief and perseverance. He introduced himself as Marcus Rowe, owner of the local garage just a few miles down the road. His little girl, Nora, no older than 8, peeked from the back seat, her eyes wide with curiosity and a spark of hope that felt out of place on such a stormy day. Marcus didn't ask for explanations or apologies. Instead, he popped the hood, assessed the engine, and declared with certainty that he could tow it back to his shop. Harper accepted, unsure if she was stepping into help or another disappointment, but she had no other choice. The garage smelled of motor oil, sawdust, and something warm baking in a back room. Marcus's sister, June, ran a small lunch counter attached to the shop, serving travelers and locals alike. As Harper sat wrapped in a borrowed blanket, waiting for the verdict on her car, June slid a bowl of chowder in front of her, insisting she eat before she froze. Harper hadn't realized how hungry she was until the first spoonful made her eyes sting with tears. She blinked them away quickly, embarrassed to break in front of strangers, but Marcus seemed to sense it from across the room. He spoke softly about the repairs, a failed timing belt, water damage, hours of labor. Too expensive for someone barely holding on. Harper stared at her hands and admitted she couldn't pay. Not now. Maybe not ever. Marcus didn't respond the way she feared. Instead of frustration, she saw a quiet recognition. He told her about his wife, Grace, who passed away 5 years earlier, leaving him with debts, the garage, and Nora. He shared how some days he fixed engines just to avoid breaking down himself, how he learned to breathe again by choosing kindness even when life felt unfair. Harper felt seen in a way she hadn't in months. Still, she didn't dare hope. She just needed the car running, needed that interview, needed to claw her way back to a life that didn't feel like drowning. Over the next 2 days, Harper became a quiet presence in the shop. She swept floors, fetched tools, helped June in the lunch counter, insisting on earning her keep while the car was being worked on. Nora followed her like a shadow, asking questions about everything from Harper's favorite color to why she looked sad sometimes. Harper didn't know how to explain sorrow to a child, so she offered the only truth she could. "I'm rebuilding." Nora smiled like she understood. Kids often do in ways adults forget. By the third morning, the car idled smoothly in the bay, engine humming with newfound life. Harper felt a swell of relief so sharp it hurt. Marcus handed her the keys, but not the invoice. He said she could settle up when she got back on her feet, however long it took. It was more generosity than she deserved, and Harper said as much. Marcus replied that no one deserves kindness. It's given, not earned. That's the point. He didn't offer pity or rescue, he offered dignity. It was the most powerful lifeline she'd felt in years. With tears she couldn't swallow, Harper drove to her interview. But when she got there, her name wasn't on the list. They had filled the position early. The receptionist apologized, distracted and rushed, as Harper stood frozen in the lobby. It felt like the universe had played a cruel joke. She walked back to her car, sat behind the wheel, and let the grief come in waves. She didn't break, she bent, and sometimes bending is all survival asks of us. Instead of driving away, she found herself heading back to the garage. She told Marcus the truth. The job was gone, her plan collapsed again. She expected him to be disappointed. Instead, he surprised her. He said June was expanding the lunch counter, and they needed someone reliable to help full-time. Harper stared at him, stunned. The offer wasn't charity, it was belief. He saw her, not as broken pieces, but as someone rebuilding into something stronger. She accepted not because it saved her, but because it allowed her to save herself. Weeks passed. Harper worked in the lunch counter during the day, helped in the garage when she wasn't serving customers, and found her laughter returning like a song she thought she'd forgotten. Nora called her Miss Harper and braided flowers into her hair when the weather warmed. Harper learned that healing isn't a single moment, it's dozens of ordinary days stitched together by little mercies. Marcus never treated her like someone he rescued. He treated her like someone he respected, and in that respect, a different kind of hope bloomed. Not romantic fantasies or whirlwind emotions, just quiet connection, the kind built on shared scars and gentle trust. Harper didn't know what the future held, but she knew she wasn't alone anymore. Sometimes opening one's heart doesn't mean falling in love. It means letting the world back in. Months later, Harper saved enough to rent a small apartment above the hardware store in town. On her first night there, Marcus and Nora helped her carry boxes up the narrow stairs. June brought fresh bread. Harper looked around the tiny space, mismatched furniture, paint-chipped windows, the scent of possibility, and felt for the first time in years like she was home. Not because of the place, but because she was standing on her own feet again, surrounded by people who believed in her. If this story touched your heart even a little, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Your support helps keep stories of kindness alive. Before you go, please comment, I believe in second chances. I'd love to see how many hearts still believe in hope. And so, Harper's broken engine became the start of a life rebuilt from grace, grit, and the courage to accept kindness. Not a fairy tale, not a rescue, just humans healing alongside each other, proving that sometimes the engine isn't the only thing that can start again.